Welcome to Happy Hour with Ruth.
And Roxy. It's good to see you today.
It's good. Yeah, it is. Just like what was that show? Romper Room? And I see Roxanne, and I see Ruth, and I see Ray, and I see Paul. I don't know. Was that a Canadian show or a U.S. show?
I don't know. I remember it.
Yeah. And you always hope for your name. And I had honestly, a Jewish grandma's name, Ruth, right? So my name never came up, right? Did yours?
No. Roxanne? No, never. You know those keychain things you walk past the kiosks and all that, and you're looking for your name? Never a Roxanne. Now there might be.
Well, I mean, after the Police sang the song, right? I mean,
yeah.
But now you walk by and it's like Pear and Apple and Austin and all
exactly.
these, like they have all the, which is a really great thing because it makes the kid feel seen, right? Yeah. But I can remember, and it was because usually I'd be like, my name would get called somewhere. Like the 2 times I went to church, and I put my hand up, and you could see people looking at me like, that's not a name for a 10-year-old.
Well, it's funny. One of the times when I went for a recheck to the retinal surgeon people, it's a big room. Like, you wouldn't believe the number of people having eye surgery all at once, apparently. But so I'm sitting in a room with, 50 other people, and somebody comes out and they call Roxanne. It's the time for my appointment. And they're calling my name. I stand up and I start walking, with Ray, and I'm just talking and then suddenly I see another woman beside me, and then I register that they didn't say Snowpeck.
Oh,
they said something else.
Oh, that's funny.
And like, what are the odds? She's sitting right next to me at the same time.
Yeah, that's very funny.
Very weird. Yes. Anyway, I was like, oh, okay, I feel chastened. I assumed it was all about me.
Okay, what are we drinking, Rox?
We are drinking.
Courtesy of our friend Della, who brought it for over the holiday season.
It's called Brilla Pink Prosecco, which is right up our alley. And cheers.
Cheers. Oops, I've been drinking already, sorry. What a surprise, right? But we better write that down so we can do a link. But
that's lovely.
Also, we're drinking this to toast Della, but also because this is a very interesting episode. We're going to take you on a little bit of an on-location field trip at some point, and we visited our friend Pink Beverley, and there's a whole theme to this. So I'll let you talk about the theme, Roxanne.
The theme is first of all, possibly not suitable for work,
or children.
Or children.
If you have this up while you're making dinner and doing stuff, and it's loud, and you have youngins in the house, not the episode to do that. So
if you have ever watched the TV show. Oh, I always do it wrong. Grace and Frankie? Frankie and Grace. Frankie and Grace. So we're going to discuss some things that Frankie and Grace discussed.
They actually started a company in their yeah, that's right. In the TV series. They started a business on this. So if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But this is I think the show Frankie and Grace kind of opened a door onto something that is rarely talked about, at least in general culture, and that is the sexuality of women in their prime years, in their third act.
Yes.
Right? Because it's kind of like, well, young people have all the sex, and then afterwards you don't anymore.
And thinking about, in your third act, you may be divorced, you may have lost your partner, you may have chosen to be single. And there's this whole thing, because it's a little different. Like when you're young, you're going out and you're doing things, and honestly, I grew up in downtown Toronto. We were going out to the bars and the pubs, right? And you're meeting different people. But what do you do if you're in your third act and your social group is your social group, right? How do you meet new people?
And it is not necessarily true that your libido has disappeared.
Well,
that's not.
There's other things I hear that says it ramps up because you have no more cares.
Yeah,
right. That you're the social constraints, or pregnancies are out of the way. All that stuff, you get to be more who you are when it comes to that. But when you think about that, like I can remember being a young person, and at that my parents were probably in their late 40s or something, and the idea of them doing anything anything solo, it was like.
No, can't. Just can't. Right? Just can't think about it. Nobody wants to think about their parents having sex. Everybody's parents had sex once to make them. That's
at least
it.
Once, right?
Oh no, only once.
She's got 2 siblings, so it was a miracle.
Yes, once for each of us. But yeah, so that
I got a friend.
Oh yeah, you do.
I've got Neo here behind me.
He's handsome. He's
He is
handsome
handsome,
today
and he's
because
had a haircut.
He finally had
Oh,
his
you want to play? I'll play.
baby hair cut off.
Go get it. Go
It's a
get
big
it.
job. I'm a little tired today because I groomed him yesterday and her today. So,
She's had a
so they both
marathon.
look good, but
They're
you know,
beautiful.
I'm tired.
Yes.
I'm tired.
Yes.
But yeah, these so we're drinking pink bubbles here because this isn't necessarily comfortable for us to talk about.
Oh no!
either.
Wait till you see in our field trip and on location shoot with Pink Beverley. It's like when we really kind of get into some stuff. Roxanne's reaction. I forgot to bring you cough drops.
Oh, that's
but
right.
Roxanne's reaction was to cough and walk away, and not necessarily a conscious connection, right?
Oh.
Mine was like, put more wine in my glass. Put more. Or bubbles. We actually had champagne there, but it was a very interesting. And you said that it, you know, and later you talked about what that would
Hey,
mean
get
if
off,
you were writing
off.
something.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And I mean, if I were doing that as an author, I would say this character doesn't want to talk about this or has something blocking the ability to communicate about this. So I would do something as a metaphor, right?
Right.
I'm like, no, actually, I just have bronchitis. It's fine. I can talk about this.
Yes.
But at the same time,
It's not that comfortable.
No, and neither one of us were raised in homes or social circles where sex was talked. I mean, I was raised in purity culture, so absolutely not. You didn't talk
and
about it at all.
I think it was probably a little bit more with me, but I don't think it wasn't like some big like it was never out there. Now, if I remember, see, I'm going to cough. We're both moving away from the screen talking about it. Like,
Hey,
there were other families that I had friends and it seemed that their parents were much freer about the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were, like, honestly, old school, sort of British, Scottish, Irish kind of,
Mm-hmm.
like, we didn't talk about the bad things that happened. That all went under the rug, and the other stuff, it's like, that's your business behind closed doors.
yeah,
Right? It was
yeah.
not an easy conversation. Like,
Yeah.
I have people now in my life who have kids, and when their kids have not a one night stand kind of thing, but when they have, the kids are still young enough to live at home, so they're in university or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when they have a long term relationship, the kids get to stay over. That would have never happened in my house. Right? Their partner at the time.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a more freeing thing, and I think it's really good. But it's also one of those where, oh my gosh, not in my, and we couldn't even we couldn't even when we were littler kids, and I had a lot of male friends even then because I just wanted to hang around interesting people. But you couldn't have the door closed if they were upstairs and you were doing homework or studying or doing something.
Yeah.
And honestly, these were kids who had been around my parents for like a decade,
Yeah.
and they knew there was nothing.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I had a thought and it disappeared,
It's that kind of day.
as those kinds of
But you know,
days
so
do.
so there is Frankie and Grace is a really good. I think they did really bring it to the forefront. But you know, I was laughing about it, talking about, you know, we have, and I may have said this because there were really nice champagne bubbles involved with Pink Beverley. I might have said it then, but I'll, just in case I didn't. I have a little laser you do on your face, and I had it out on, and I go and I watch TV, and when I'm in bed and I put it on, right? And if you notice, my chin's
You're looking
getting
very,
better.
very
youthful.
Yes, youthful and smooth.
But Kalina, who is our house magician, at one point when she came in, she went in the bedroom, and I was like, Kalina, that's for my face. But that's how embarrassed we can be
Yes,
about it, right?
yes.
Like, it's...
So here's an interesting thought. I wonder if, because my family was a little bit sex was not a topic that came up, but in terms of just body stuff, we were fairly open, which was
Because you were farmers.
Yes, but that's you're right. There's a part of it there because obviously you're seeing animals do all the animal things, but also just things like when we were little. We didn't necessarily close the bathroom door, you know, and there was two girls, like my sister and I, and then my brother came a little bit later. So probably when it was just mom and the girls at home, that was no big deal, right? But I know that there's vast differences within households about whether do you see your partner naked when you're getting changed? Are you in the bathroom at the same time when someone's using the toilet?
Right.
Can you be brushing your teeth while someone's in the shower, right? Like all these different things. I mean, you can just be having a random conversation with somebody and discover that they've never seen their partner naked.
Like randomly naked around doing the thing, like doing showering. And
exactly. And there's differing, like, and there's no right or wrong about this. It's just what you're comfortable with. So sex kind of falls into that level, right?
Well, comfort with your body, right?
Comfort with your body and comfort with your ability to be comfortable with someone else's body. So my husband and I are having a conversation along this lines last week when we were having a discussion that was a bit overdue. Some stresses built up over Christmas, and we needed to have a
check-in.
We needed to have a check-in, yeah. And so
it's such a healthy thing to do.
Yeah, it's not fun. I don't like doing those because there's usually a lot of emotion involved by that time. And I've done this before, and I don't know that it's deliberate, but it is going to be deliberate from now on. He had gone in to have a shower, and I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to strip down, I'm going to walk into the bathroom, and I'm going to start talking to him, and we're going to start talking. And now my policy is fight naked.
I've read that somewhere.
Have you?
Yes. I'm going to look at I've read it somewhere, I swear to God.
And you know what? The thing about that is there's nothing to hide, right?
Yep.
Like you can't hide, you can't leave the room.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
You can't storm out of
your
the
house, but you can't storm out of the house. Not quickly, quickly and easily. But if you're in an intimate relationship that you want to maintain that intimacy. You want to
and be fully vulnerable.
Be fully vulnerable. Exactly. Oh, it's nothing like being naked for that to happen, right?
But that like, I think that's really amazing because I don't even like to see myself naked, especially. You know what I mean? Like it's like that is a real tribute to your relationship, even if it was hard to think about doing it, to do it. And when you think about it, none of us, like I was even thinking when you were saying that, and it was like, that's a really intimate thing. But I like growing up, I don't even think we used real body parts. I mean, I called them, when we were like, if something was wrong with your vagina when you were a kid, we called it our tinkle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't use the words.
No.
Right. And it's like one of those things where it's like, and I have other people I know, they're very factual, and the kids know the clinical name, but also there has to be somewhere in the middle, right? Where the language that you use, but also the ability to walk around naked in front, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure that I have friends that completely walk around naked in the house with nobody's, especially if they have a house that has some privacy. No, I wouldn't. I'm never going to know that, and I don't want to know it. Just saying. Yeah. But it's interesting. But that's an interesting thing. Like our attitudes towards our own bodies and what it means for intimacy.
Because that it all plays into it, right? So on the topic of body parts, my middle daughter sent me a clip of her 2-year-old in the tub. And he's just playing away, and she's a nurse, right? And her partner's in healthcare too, so they're very proactive about. They use all the language. They use the right language. So Abel's sitting in the tub, and he's just playing and dumping water, and he's like, "My penis, Froggy's penis, Mommy's penis, Daddy's penis." It's just all penis, and and she's like, "You got to point it down when you're," because he's potty training right now, right? And you got to hold it. You got to hold it down when you're sitting on the toilet, and it's very matter of fact, and to have that comfort with your body starting from a young age, because I think that shame, when you learn that, oh no, that's not. It's different to say that's private, right, and kind of precious. You don't share that with everybody versus that's dirty and bad. But
that's right? And I think that's, and anytime that you've been in Europe or had Europeans around you, because we've had it on a few cruises, because for women, right, topless sunbathing is nothing in most European countries, right? And then but you get North Americans, and it's like, I don't know what, like, and the thing is, like, even on some, I'm trying to think of where we were, and it was a beach and it wasn't a nude beach, right? It wasn't, but it was a beach where all of a sudden we looked around and half the people were actually naked. Wow. Right? I can't remember what country it was, but it was a beach, and it was one of those things where it's like, okay, that's, and there was not everybody there had the perfect body, but nobody seemed ashamed. Yeah. Right. And that was really like, and I've seen sometimes, like, even sort of just out and about, and there might be somebody who doesn't have that perfect size too, which honestly is a ridiculous thing unless you're born like that. Yeah. But you see that, and it feels like a not big leap to if you're comfortable with who you are physically and emotionally you've had some exposure, it's not that big a leap to sexual comfort, right? You know, like that you're not ashamed of the those aspects of the body, but in at least in my era, that's not the case for 90% of the people I know.
No, that's not the case. And then, so when you take the idea of how you feel about your body, how do you feel then about the things that you can do in and with your body that bring you pleasure?
Right.
And that's, I mean, obviously there's sexual pleasure, and then there's just things like food, like movement, right? Like the sensual things of swimming, like swimming through water, feeling that, touch, massage. Some people cannot have massages. That's it's too threatening to them, right? And I mean, I've raised 3 kids and have, 2 grandsons now, and we'll soon have 2 granddaughters, and I've had lots of animals throughout the years, and every mammal is sexual.
Yep.
And even children from a small age, they know, they are aware of what gives them pleasure.
Right.
It's not the same as when you're an adult,
yeah.
but all kids know how to make their bodies make them feel good.
Yeah.
Right? They learn that pretty quick. Or I shouldn't say all kids, but they have
kids
that.
that are pulled away from, like, the natural movement would be to do that, right? And it's the kids that are like, that get that no. Like I think it kind of goes back to that the whole thing, like, hate is taught, what shame is taught.
Oh, shame is absolutely
shame is
taught.
layered or something, right?
So I remember, so I would have been a teenager at the time, and very involved in the church, and my youth group was having some kind of, I don't know what it was. There was some kind of workshop or special thing going on. And I was there with some of my girlfriends, and of course, if you know anything about fundamental evangelical gatherings of that time, which would have been in the 80s, anytime they get teenagers together, they will talk about how bad sex is. It's like, don't do it. And so the topic of masturbation came up, and so one of my girlfriends afterwards, she said to me, "I didn't even know girls could do it. I thought that was just a boy thing." And I thought at the time, I don't know how to feel about that. I feel bad for you that you don't know this.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what makes you feel good, how do you tell your partner when you're in an intimate relationship?
Yeah.
How
do you give guidance?
How do you give guidance?
Input or
like
feedback?
How do you talk about it?
But the other thing is.
But then, okay, let me look at this though.
Yes.
How did I, at that age, coming from that culture, have that thought?
You read.
Well, I read, but also for all of the caution of my parents, my mom especially was very, she told me about the facts of life. She used the F word in explaining to me what it meant.
Right.
She was fair.
That's pretty
breastfed
progressive,
us,
right?
For each of us for 3 months in a time where this is not proper. Like, your breasts are not meant for that, right? So she was a bit more. I'm looking for a word.
Open.
Yeah, open
progressive?
And progressive.
Yeah.
Progressive at that time than I was. Sorry, I interrupted you.
But I think that's really interesting, because the other side of that is I think the more you're exposed to others, because like we were talking before, and it's like, I don't remember my mom having the talk with me. Now, having said that, I went to an inner city school in downtown Toronto. I probably heard stuff in kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they explained it as it came up.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also really interesting because both of us were readers, and there were things like reading it was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? But the other thing is, I remember when there was some, like, it might have been called the Blue Channel came in, right?
Oh,
and we
yeah.
had TV, and we didn't have that because 3 girls and my mom. I mean, I don't know if my dad would have or not, but it was like, but if you turned it on the channel, and it's kind of how you discover it, right? I think it's probably like discovering your dad or your brother's Playboys or something.
Right.
But you turned it on, you could see glimpses, and we were like, what are they doing? Right? But it was all fuzzy, right? Like it was because you didn't subscribe. But that was I think my first real introduction that, there's something more to, like, it's not just about the thing that happens here. Sometimes people want to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and all of a sudden it was like, that's a whole world I know nothing. Like that, like it was just like, wow, it's more to the, it's like, here's what a husband and wife do, right? It opened it up to so much more. But there is one, I have to tell you, the Big Bang Theory one, because, Big Bang Theory is what I go to sleep to. And there's one in there where, Sheldon, who's the very interesting character on there, is tidying somebody's closet, and he comes in and he's like, Penny, did you used to have a dog? And he's been tidying her closet and doing all these great things. And she's like, no. And he's like, well, I found this battery-powered toy and she was like, party's over. And she grabs the bag out of his hand. And it was like, you wonder, again, like what I did with Kalina, where it's like, that's for my face. You wonder how deep some layers of shame are, or some layers of, that's my business.
Yeah.
Right. And which leads us into, honestly, what our friend Pink Beverley will talk about a little bit, is because she is so open.
She is so open. And you'll meet her shortly. And she describes herself as 74 years old.
Yep.
And she's beautiful. She's very comfortable in her own skin.
Yep. And she's charming and she's funny. And to be fair, we all got funnier as more bubbles were poured.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she's also like, she describes herself as a sexual being. And honestly, even thinking about saying that about myself, it'd be like, I know, I don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah, exactly. So how this podcast came about is we were over there having, drinks with her or something.
Champagne. Every time we go, she has very expensive champagne. And we stuff. Always say, we're just going to go over for a little bit because, it's Sunday or it's this. And every time it's like 3 bottles of expensive champagne.
Hours.
And so many, and such great conversation.
But we're over there and she had a package delivered. It was on the island or something. And
so apparently, I actually don't remember this part, but apparently I said, what's, I was just being funny. What's in there?
Yeah.
And I don't remember that, but she opened it and it was like,
oh, and it's a sex toy. It's a dildo.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah, I order from this company from time to time, and this is a good one. And we're both like,
okay, it was her backup one though, in case the other one broke.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She does show it when we're in the upcoming On Location segment that we've got for you. But it was really funny because she was like, I kept this, I saved it, it's all new, blah blah blah. She's like, but if the other one broke, you guys were like out of luck. So she's like, I wasn't going to hold off with that. And I was like, I'm grateful that the other one didn't break because I would not want to put my hands on a used one.
We had the stories. We knew, just sort of didn't know them, but they were like parents of kids that my kids went to school with. And somehow the conversation came about, I know who it was. It was somebody who worked for us. Her sister cleaned for them. And apparently they had a big box under their bed. And it was part of the cleaner's job to clean those things. And I'm like, nope. You use it, you clean it, and then you pack it away, and no one else touches it. That'd be me.
Yep.
But anyway,
so not for all. But so we were on a cruise with friends, and this was a long time ago. So you're not going to figure out who it is. But at one point, because if you're trying to smuggle something onto the cruise ship, like usually it's people, and now they all have drink packages and stuff. But usually it's like alcohol or something, right? And then this person had got her luggage, and they got a call to come down, and we call it the naughty room, right? Because you've tried to do something, like take something on board that you're not supposed to, contraband. And I was like, but you have the drink package, like what the hell?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it wasn't alcohol. And it was like, so by then I'm so naive, and I'm like, what? And she's like, Mama needs her toys.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's way too much information for me. Also, we're only on the cruise for a week, so clearly Mama needed her toys, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, then here's somebody that like, if I was going through like security or whatever, or they called me over, and it's because something's vibrating in my bag, I would be mortified.
We had that happen to us once.
Did you?
We're coming back from Mexico, if I am not mistaken. Yes, it was Mexico, because I remember the armed guards throughout the airport. Oh, and like fully armed, everything. And we get, over the intercom, would Ray Snowpeck return to blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what? This is Mexico. This is where they like put people away for doing bad things. And what did we do? And we come in and they're like, yep, your bag is vibrating. And it was his shaver. His shaver went off. And I wouldn't have even thought anything. I'm like, they think we have guns? Yeah. They think we have, a snake in there? Like, what? Oh, that's funny, right? No, it's his shaver, but yeah.
But still, like it's there's this whole world out there, honestly, because again, it's not exactly like you have a dinner party and you go, so what do you use?
Yeah, well, not our dinner parties anyway. I think,
Yeah, for sure. Maybe others do.
I think there are dinner parties.
I think there's all kinds of dinner parties.
Yes,
But for example, for lovely Pink Beverley, she didn't need a lot of encouragement because she is absolutely comfortable in her own self.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really magical thing. And it seems like she has always, like at least for her last few chapters, been comfortable with who she is. And I think that's a gift that maybe the Frankie and Grace episodes have helped people come to. I think certainly the more we're exposed to it and that kind of thing, like Sex and the City would be another one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Certainly. And the no shame sexuality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember reading something somewhere about a character who had a lot of partners, but he said that his motto was to make sure that he never left anybody worse than when he found them. Like he always left somebody feeling better than when he found them. So it's not like he was willing to commit to them, but he never lied to them.
Right.
He never, like when he was with somebody, that's who he was with.
Yeah.
And that was,
And
serial monogamy kind of thing, right?
but if, and that kind of works for, because if you're going to be clear about it, but I also have to say, I also think on either side in the relationship, there are people that are like, but I could be the one. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can be as clear as possible.
Yeah.
I've also had people I know that have been involved in a throuple, right? And these are people I have a huge amount of respect and affection for, and it worked for them. It wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, same
right?
here.
I would have a hard time with all of it.
Yeah.
But apparently, and I'll have to look it up, there's a book called The Ethical Slut.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Right? And so it's about, because not everybody is necessarily satisfied with a monogamous relationship. And the thing is, if you can work it out with your person and that works for you, I would wonder about what layers aren't being talked about, because I think humans have jealousy, right? Like, and I think, but I say the young ones, and somebody was like, "How old are you, Granny?" Right? But I think it's a new generation now about sexuality, and I think that's really good because they are less afraid to experiment.
I think that humans, like many other species, tend to be pair bonding.
Yeah.
Right? Like geese are that way. There's lots of other animals that tend to pair bond. But that doesn't mean that they pair bond exclusively or for all their life, right? Like we know in the animal kingdom it doesn't work that way, and we're animals. We're thinking animals.
And apparently penguins mate for life, but they cheat.
Well,
I just saw it in Big Bang Theory, so it might not be true. But the other side of that is, if you have people that are aware of sexual appetites, let's say, like that it's like, so perhaps both of you want to explore and do things that maybe you choose to do it together, or maybe you each get a free night in a month, like whatever it is, they still come back, they've still pair bonded with this person, but the physical relationship is just a physical act to some of them, right? It's because it's not romantic. It's a consensual physical pleasure as opposed to emotional. Right. And so, I mean, I respect it and appreciate it for people who have decided. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. But I'm, as long as, like you say, if it's deliberate, if it's thoughtful in terms of they've thought it out, and respectful to the other partner, as long as nobody's getting hurt. Yeah.
But that's just it. As long as it's consensual and nobody's going to feel betrayed, right? Like that, and that's just it. But I also think perhaps they're more in touch with what they want, and in our generations, that like there was societal expectations. So whatever you might have had a glimmer of, I don't know, for me, it would have just got buried because that was not acceptable.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you learn pretty quick. Yeah, we just had our censor walk in the room, so. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you want to talk about any of this, Raymond? No. So, but the other thing is, I've had friends that were absolutely sexually active, responsible for their own birth control, all of the things. And as soon as whoever it was they were dating got serious, and this is male and female, they were like, nope, we had this talk, and they were just like, don't wanna, You're never sleeping over. Here's the thing. We will do these fun things together, and we'll do this, but don't ever try that. You know what I mean? They did, and from what I could see, and I don't know what at 4 a.m. how they felt, but
was my dog falling up the stairs as usual.
But they seem to have a handle on it for that stage, and it doesn't mean it's for every stage. Perhaps that carries through.
Yeah.
Perhaps all of a sudden one day you go, no, you know what? I want something more now.
Yeah. I always...
Or something different. Sorry, I shouldn't say more. That's a judgment on my part.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I will say that I grew up believing, and I believe this, that you date the person, you date with the idea of, is this going to be permanent? That's how I grew up, was that, if you're dating somebody, you got to think about marriage. That's always the end goal. And it wasn't, and that is how I thought. And I had some not very healthy relationships. But it was like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I was
right. The expectations that came from the world that you were in, right?
That I was in. Yeah. The only time that only once did I say, you know what? I am tired of dating these people that it's bad. It's not going down a good road. There's this guy that I really like, and I know it can't go anywhere, but I really like him, and I just want to date him and see what happens. That's the one I married.
But right? But so opposite.
And it's good, as opposed to, wow, I would have been in trouble with the other ones.
Right. But see, that's just it. And because instead of, here's this good person I would like to be with, it's like, does this person fit it's like, I've had friends in the past that are like, they get engaged, and what they say is, I'm getting married.
Yeah.
Right? Marriage was the goal for them. And I understand that. It was honestly never the goal for me. Not that I didn't want to pair bond, but like that part was never. But so I grew up, and my mom used to say, because of course at 16 you meet somebody and you think you're in love. And my mother would say, be in love all you want. You need to understand, though, that if you're really in love, and you stick together for a few years, then you need to take a year off, because if you're truly in love, you'll come back. You need to date other people, right? Because you need
that's
to
so
know,
smart.
right? Yeah. And I think, but that's part of it. I mean, didn't stop me from having ridiculous, stupid, bad relationships. Yeah. But I also knew I had the freedom.
Oh, you got a ball. Good
I had the freedom to say, yeah, they're really nice. I don't think it's going anywhere, but it's fun for now, right? So I had that youth part of it, right? Yeah. Whereas I think yours was a little bit more.
The fun for now part is really that's a beautiful thing. I that was not part of fun. Fun is a 3-letter word that starts with FU in where I grew up, so fun is not a big thing.
Right. But also it has to be fun for both the people involved.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, and I've had it from my side, and then I've had it where I've done it to people. If one of you is trying hard to make it a relationship and it's not, then that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Right? The dogs are having fun.
I'm just making sure there's no cords they can
Okay,
get
we're at 33, so we have to maybe wrap up a bit, because I think we have about 20 minutes with Pink Beverley, maybe?
I think so. We're going to try and keep this one to a normal time. Yeah. So join, so keep watching, because we will be discussing sex toys.
Yep, sex toys. And
with someone who's far less inhibited than us.
Oh yeah, and even fully proactively comfortable. And she is a magical being, a little bit, I think, like a unicorn, because honestly, it's like there is no shame, and not that there should be shame, but I've got some shame around some things, right? And it's like, so here we go, and we will see you on the other end. Here's to Beverly.
Here's to Beverly.
Our magical guest on the
Pink Beverley,
Beverley.
And Roxy.
Yes.
And to all you poor souls out there who really don't have champagne
I just
now,
spilled.
I feel really bad for you, but suck it up.
Okay, so we always talk about what we're drinking, and so today I'm just going to show you what we're drinking.
This is what we drink at Pink Beverley's.
This is what we drink at Pink Beverley's. Okay, it's the real thing.
It is the real thing. But Roxanne and I are going to do a taste test with our fave one, because this is absolutely fabulous, except holy doodle, man.
Yeah.
It's a pricey little bottle.
Holy doodle woman, I'm 74, and I am not saving my money for my children.
So there you go.
We're having fun.
We are having fun.
Enjoy your life while you've got it,
Exactly.
right?
But you are like the poster human for that, right? Like it is to seize the day, grab the moment, experience life, the ups and downs of it, right?
Oh yes.
Right, because you are somebody who leans into it all.
You have no choice, really, if you want to keep on going.
No,
if you want to
true.
keep on going in a positive way and not wind up way down there somewhere,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
you've got
that's
no
true.
choice.
Okay, let's talk about eyelashes for a minute.
Oh,
real?
yes.
Well, I don't know how do you term
What's
real?
real?
There
I
we
mean,
go.
I
See?
can touch them, I can feel them, I can
That's
brush
true.
them. They're real.
That's true, and they look fabulous because sometimes you see eyelashes that look like somebody's got a spider on their face,
Oh, yeah.
and I know
Oh, yeah.
it's the younger thing, but
Yeah.
but honestly, I like natural but dramatic.
Exactly.
So here's my thing. I have minuscule eyelashes naturally. They're blonde. You can barely see them. They're about a 1/16 of an inch long. And so in order to have any eyelashes, I had to use copious quantities of mascara.
Right.
And then, no matter how hard I used the whatever to get it off, in the morning I'd have raccoon eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I hated it. So now I have a 20-minute appointment once a week. I go in, I lay there for 15, 20 minutes, and I always have eyelashes, no makeup, no raccoon eyes.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And that's-
nice.
Yeah.
It works
It's such a part of your look, though.
because you're glam,
think
right?
You are
Thanks.
glam. You are glam.
Right. Look at. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but
Your
it's like
style.
it's like we're
your
in a
life,
high
it's
end
all
Bahamas resort,
consistent.
but also
Like,
she's
you're
got freaking tinsel in her hair. That's real. Like
Yeah,
it's,
she does.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have
wanna
much
do it.
left.
I
It's-
know.
We call her Pink. This is Pink. This is our friend Pink Beverley.
Yes.
Like we call her Pink
When
Beverley.
you go for
because she's-
tinsel, when you go for tinsel again,
Hey,
maybe
put
I
your
wanna
hands
come.
up.
Who?
Oh, wait, I don't see anybody else. Are you there?
Okay, there was a while though where it's like if you do certain things,
Yes. If
right?
you do a thumbs up, we're
it
gonna
will
get it.
think it will come, and we
Yeah,
were
that's
like,
not happening.
"Who the hell's watching us? We're just taping."
Yes,
right?
but there should be nobody watching.
No.
And yet
There it was.
weird.
Yeah.
Nope, it's
We
good.
don't know.
So Pink Beverley is on here for many reasons, and we have many things to discuss. But one of the reasons that she's here is because she is incredibly open about sexuality and toys.
Well, to a degree. You know, I don't tell you guys everything.
I want to know.
There might be future, episodes you
With
want me
more.
in. I'd have to have more. So.
You would always be here.
But you know what? Like this is part of your 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is this is my life? I'm going to live it. I'm going to live the best life I can.
That's
What does
right.
that mean? For
Toys.
But for a lot of women though, pleasure is a bad word for a lot of humans.
Yes.
Pleasure for
Oh, no,
women
mostly
is a
women.
bad- yeah, that's what I mean.
Right, yeah, but-
for women,
Because
pleasure
boys
is
are
a bad
brought
word.
up thinking it's
Yeah.
okay, man.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah, I
But-
would agree. There's a lot of that. I will tell you something. I had an interesting conversation with a woman yesterday. And I told her that I was going to be on one of your podcasts and that she said, well, what will you be talking about? I said, well, I don't know, like maybe vibrators. It seems such a commonplace thing to talk about because who doesn't have a vibrator? Like, fuck, I've had one for decades. And she said, I don't have one.
See, you might inspire people though.
I said, are you serious? She said, yeah, I wouldn't even know really where to get one. Well, I said, oh my God, girl, I can help you with that, but seriously.
So just for the record, she has now become our female sexuality expert.
Yeah.
Right? She's going to be. She's
our
going to
guru.
tell us the things. So anybody out there that works for a company that produces these things, talk to us.
Talk to
We've
us.
got an expert. We'll do reviews. Right? But let's talk about what was it in your life that because honestly, I've told the story for us about me going, that was for my face to our house cleaner, right? Because I have a
your
thing
device.
beside my bed with my device. But it was like, honestly, it really is. But it was one of those. What made it comfortable for you to talk about? Like not to have, because I think lots of people have them and don't talk. But for you are so comfortable with your sexuality. So how?
I can't really answer that because I will tell you this. My dear, very loved mother was a prude. I think my dad was not, though. But, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just always been part of me. My brothers and sisters aren't like me. Like, I don't think they'd come on. No, I don't think any of them would come on and talk about anything like that. So I don't know. I think it's just in my genes, in my DNA. I think it's just there.
And you've always bucked the system, though, right? Like, you've always been somebody who's like, you don't get to tell me what's right and what's wrong.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Or at least you reached a place where you became that way.
I've kind of always been a rebel, even in my teens. But my downfall was that there was still a strong part of me that was kind of like the Mad Men era, where
Right.
I was that woman who was a 50s woman, born in the 50s, but
Right.
watched my mom kind of serve my dad, and my dad
Right.
ruled the roost, and my dad
Right,
brought
the
home
social
the
norms
bacon,
of that
and
time,
my
right?
mom
Yeah.
looked after the kids in the house. And I kind of did that in my marriage, which ended after 20 years when I found out that that wasn't really the modern world.
Right.
But there was never a time in my life where I wasn't a sexual woman, a sexual being.
Right.
I don't mean having sex with random men, because I've never been promiscuous, but I was always open to having a good time with myself.
But
See,
that is so
huge.
interesting,
That
right?
idea right there. So, like, you've got dogs, I've got dogs. I grew up on farms. Every mammal.
Where's this going? Just
on-
wait. Do I need to leave?
No, you don't. But every mammal on Earth is a sexual being.
And I want to go back to something you just said there that was really interesting, is you've never been a promiscuous person, but you are a sexual person. So in my experience, and as a 20-year-old in Toronto, right, downtown, out in the bars, all the things and stuff, I saw lots of people who are really promiscuous. And honestly, my experience with most of that is those were the people, male and female, that were searching for something that was beyond the sex. There was like there's an Eagle song that's like looking for love in all the wrong places, right? You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to someone who is absolutely grounded in their sexuality and who understood that if you didn't have whatever the good connection would be, you can do it yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Sometimes better.
fair point.
You know, like we've laughed a lot in talking about this episode and coming up to this episode, because have you watched Grace and Frankie?
Yes,
We love
we'll
it.
have to. Well,
Like,
I'll have to send you the link to it. You would love it, because they end up
you would love
creating
It's a business.
a business around
selling
around
devices
for
women,
sexuality
for
at
women,
a certain age.
for women who have arthritis in their wrists.
Around a certain age, because everybody gets you get creaky as you get older. Not that any of us are old, just saying. But the other side of that is it's a really important thing, and it is poor rocks. It's one of the things. So tell me a little bit about, because last time what started this, because Pink Beverley is always interesting to us. At what stage of your life were you like, yeah, here's my toy, you should get one of these?
Okay.
Or was it just that last time because, it's us and you were open?
Well, no. I mean, I've tried. Seriously, I've tried to educate. Well, I guess that's the wrong word, but just
Educate is a good word.
give women the freedom to have pleasure by themselves.
Normalize. You're
Yes.
normalizing something
Like-
that is already normal.
Like, okay, so somebody said to me, well, I guess that's great if you don't have a partner. Well, okay. I was engaged and head over heels in love for 2 beautiful years. And, oh my God, it was fabulous. But he would leave for 2 or 3 days to work or do his thing. And because we had such a great relationship, did I really need to be without this sexual gratification while he had to be away?
Right.
Hell no. And because we had such a great sex life,
Right.
all of that in my head was great masturbatory material. It was fabulous.
Right. Okay, so I guess because it does go back to, there is a certain amount of, and shame isn't the right word, but like, oh, that's private, right? Because I am not ashamed of my sexuality, but I am really private about it. And I think, honestly, I think that's not good for others, right? When you pull away from it, because what makes others people go, oh, that's shame, right? So how do you except you're you, and so you go, here it is, look at this, it's good.
I know, right? This is the best one. Look at it's purple, and it goes like this. It's great. Get one.
So we will be showing one of Beverly's, and it's still in the box and unused. So we're not going down the OnlyFans.
No,
but we'll show you.
I've
something.
been saving it. Although, had my other one died, it wouldn't still be in the box.
Okay.
I can't. No, I
right.
can't
So
be
she
without
would.
it.
She saved it. Oh, poor Rox. But she saved it. Except we would have been thrown under the bed if her other one died, because she wasn't going to wait for us, man.
That's right.
But it is an interesting thing, right? Like, one of the things Roxanne and I were talking when we walked the dogs yesterday or today, and we were talking about this, and I was saying, like, in romance novels, and I really like to be taken away, and most of the ones I read are anti-patriarchy, the woman steps up kind of stuff. But I was saying, as soon as it gets to the sex scene, I flip the page, because you kind of feel like a voyeur, right? It's kind of like, and Rox was saying that she's read books that it actually adds to the plot and stuff, but I think I'm not reading, the books I'm reading are like, I want the romance, but I don't need to know the things.
See, here's an interesting thing for me. When I read, I like J.D. Robb novels. We've talked about this. And there's a hellish good mixture of serial killers and murder and mayhem, but love, romance, and, yes, sex. But when it comes to them having sex, I skim through it. Because the reality is, for me, if I'm not feeling it, it's not important.
Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to that kind of feeling, I'm sorry, it's all about me.
Yeah. Right.
It's just all about
Right. I
me.
know there are people, and for me, it's like everybody has something that excites them. Reading about it is an interesting, like, it doesn't make me go, oh, isn't it? I'm kind of like, I don't need to know that about you.
I don't need to read about it.
Yeah.
My material, when I am pleasuring myself, comes from personal experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So you remember or rethink things.
And when I was really young, I didn't have the experience to draw from. So, sorry, Mom and Dad. I would sneak into my dad's closet because he had Harold Robbins books in there, and there was some pretty good shit in those books. And I would sneak the book into my room, and I didn't have a vibrator then, so, but I had an electric shaver for my legs.
Oh,
Well, it vibrated pretty well, and if you put something so you didn't cut yourself on it.
Yeah, you don't want to cut yourself, right?
So and then I'd sneak the book back. So if you're a sexual being, as it seems I am and have always been, you find a way.
But also,
find a way.
I think most people, I mean, there are always exceptions, are sexual beings. It's how much the world you grew up in repressed it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's and I think there are people who are asexual, right? Who are just not interested.
Yeah.
But the other side of it, I think that's and I don't know this is not science, but the other side is, it just feels like so many people have been repressed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I had a top, I had a different outfit today, and I put it on, and it's a top that it kind of shows a wee bit too much cleavage if I bend over, and I spend a lot of time on podcast bending over, but you know what I did? I changed. And it's kind of contradictory to the conversation that we're having, because it's one of those where it's like, and I also grew up with, like, by the time I was like freaking 12, I had very large breasts, and I grew up my whole life hiding them. Ooh. Right? But you know what I mean? But because that somehow made me feel safer. So I think it's a really interesting thing to talk about, the ability to come out of that and realize you're a sexual being, and to appreciate your body, because I feel like that's connected.
Absolutely,
right?
That's connected.
And to talk a little bit about of your body confidence and your whole confidence, because honestly, there's nothing between you and a person when you're naked, and when you're naked by yourself, even more so, because you're always like, hey, look at that. Right.
Exactly.
Like it's a fascinating thing that goes from the bedroom to your life confidence, right?
Yeah. And if you grew up, like in my case, I grew up in a very conservative part of the world and also time.
Me too.
And my little subculture. Sex there was very specific parameters when it was okay. Wasn't okay by yourself. Was okay when you were married. Period.
And procreating.
well, you know what? It's okay. Whatever a man and his wife does.
A
man
and his
wife.
Right. A man, not a man and a woman.
Not
man
a man and
his
a woman.
wife.
A man and his wife do is fine. But if you are a woman who is unmarried, you are dangerous. That's the message that I got, and that sexuality, sexual expression, pleasure, and not just sexual pleasure, but pleasure of any kind, is dangerous. Not necessarily bad, but it's dangerous.
So she grew up in what's it? Footloose.
Yeah,
right?
kind
Dancing
of.
and music and all the things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so you think about that kind of stuff, and you think about how that leads into being repressed, right? Because music is very sensual, right?
Yeah,
Music
yeah,
can be sexual. Like you know all the songs that are like Netflix and chill songs, man. Like you know all the songs that somebody puts it on and it's like, oh, something's happening tonight, right?
Totally.
But it's an interesting thing how it connects all the way through life to self-confidence. And honestly, I think I am a pretty confident, ready for life person. And the last time we were here and you brought out your little friend, right? It was like,
well, no, you saw it on the thing and said, what's in there?
oh, okay.
What's in there?
But you know what? But it was a magical one because I think it had just been shipped here. But
it was in a wrap.
But it was a brown wrapper, man.
Yes,
but it was
yes.
also like one of those things where it's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen somebody sharing this, right?
Totally.
Because, and then I had to go and think, holy fuck, man, I need to take a look at myself because I need to do better in this area. Like, I don't think you realize because you are so, here I am, right? But I don't think you realize how much you inspire others, right?
I guess not.
And how much you normalize something that is normal behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you give permission.
That's
to
exactly.
to explore, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to point out something here. If I were writing this conversation right now, and I were like writing our characters and who we are, if this was a scene in a book,
this should scare us.
you know what this would be? I would make me cough because I can't talk about this.
Oh.
And it would be a metaphor.
Right.
I would write it
Interesting.
as a metaphor. I'd be like, oh, this person's going to have a coughing fit because she's not allowed to talk about this. And I have been fighting bronchitis lately, so that's fair. But also, I recognize that there is a part
Also,
of me
I need more
that
bubbles
finds
because
this
I would be the
really-
one drinking too much
Can we
because
take
it's
a break?
awkward. What?
Can we take a break?
Of course we can.
Of course we can.
Oh, so you just
We'll
edit
just
this
keep
out
filming. Yeah,
after.
we'll edit it out.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, but let's go back to this for a second. You coughing and me needing another drink says we're a little bit uncomfortable
because
it's
not.
it's out of our right like
Yeah.
and that's but it's interesting that my first thought was I need another drink and yours was I'm going to cough and walk away.
Yeah.
Right? This is actually an important part of it
This
as much
is.
as
I don't think Roxanne coughing and walking away was intentional.
oh no
It's not intentional.
no it's subconscious
but it's-
unconscious.
It's absolutely and I mean yeah.
No, you still are dealing with it.
I'm still dealing, like I'm still using my puffer at night and whatever, but yeah, for sure I have a cough, but also two things can be true, right? And I recognize, like for me,
That's pretty
for
insightful.
me to know that it is safe to talk about this stuff, I can know that cognitively, but knowing that in my heart,
Also, we're
that's
taping
tougher.
it.
And also, where am I starting to cough from? Right here.
Your heart.
Yeah.
But I think this is yet it makes it an even more powerful segment because it is about getting over your own barriers. It's getting
Yeah.
over your
Yeah.
own. Oh, did you hear that, people? 3 bottles of really freaking expensive bubbles because that's how Beverly rolls.
That's my favorite sound.
It's great, isn't
I love
it?
that sound.
But it really is. You describing it as a scene, maybe we should do that more often about a scene because honestly, I didn't realize that. Like
My mind works
it never
in
would
weird
have
ways.
occurred. But
Yeah.
that's insight, right?
I mean, so when when I read a scene and I see something like that, like you don't necessarily know what effect it's having on you as you read or as you see it, but you feel it when it's
Yep.
real. And for me, that would be something I'd be like, "Ooh, that scene was really powerful." I don't know why necessarily, but
You felt it.
I know more about these people now that I've seen their behavior. And so for me, escaping, coughing up a lung in the other room, that says something about me. It's not necessarily that it's 1 and 1 and 1
Right.
equals 3 kind of situation. It's that.
Okay, we're still okay. She can add. We're still good.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
Yeah. It
But-
could
but-
go
but
much-
it
1
is-
and 1 and 3 is it's pretty elementary.
But it is. But it really is one of those, because honestly, while Beverly was talking, I was thinking I need more bubbles, right? And usually my mind is in the conversation, but it was enough there that it was a conscious thought. Whereas
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
yours was because subconscious and unconscious. Thank God we have a
don't know.
writer.
I
'Cause
don't know
man,
what the difference is.
but it is an interesting thing. You're saying stuff, and there's no agitation in you. I can feel
No.
myself moving.
You're just friggin' like, even your like, how much Botox have you had? Any?
No.
God Almighty! Like, your face doesn't move. Like, I mean, you smile and you're expressive.
You're
and all that,
expressive, but you're not like.
You're not like, we're sitting here like emoting all over the fucking place.
'Cause
and
you're comfortable.
Because you're comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah.
But that's how
I'm always
everyone.
comfortable with you ladies. Always.
No, but you are talking about something really important and really intimate, and you're saying it, and you know there's a camera on, and yet you are not doing anything that you
No.
wouldn't do if it, except you might be across the counter if the camera wasn't on.
Okay, I got another little anecdote for you. So, talking about your conversation with, and many people are like, sex toys? What? So I remember reading a scene somewhere where it was a male character who was saying something. He was just re-entering the dating scene, and he's like, I'm getting messages from women who are saying, I want a man to replace my shower head, and I don't know if that means that she wants me for sex or she wants me for plumbing. I don't know which it is. I don't know, but I'm scared.
Right?
And I'm like, you know what? Not all sex toys are mail order. Sometimes it's just what you have on hand
Oh, for sure.
in your handheld shower.
Yeah.
I have to tell you a story. So I met these really wonderful people in St. Lucia, and they were a newly married couple. And then I went to see them. I don't know, we stayed in touch before Facebook and all the things. I went and saw them after, and he had been deployed, I think, in the Falkland Islands. It was that long ago. And so I went to see them afterwards. And at that point, Amazon wasn't, like, mail order wasn't a thing, blah, blah, blah. And they lived in England. And she confided in me, and we've since lost touch, so it's not like anybody's gonna, like, and I'm not saying names. But she confided in me that she used to buy 10-pound bags of potatoes because there would be one that she could carve out.
Oh.
Right? Because back then it wasn't like you had to go into a store, and she
Well,
couldn't go
that
into a store
starch
because he
can't
was.
have been good
No,
for the vagina.
but that's just it. But the other
Changes
thing
your
is,
flora a
he
little
was
bit,
he was
possibly,
he
yeah.
was
So-
he was high up in the military, and they all knew her in this little town she lived in, right? And so she was like, there was no way, even if I went to a city, somebody's going to go, oh, you're Colonel blah blah blah's wife, and she was like, so I turned to potatoes. Right?
Wow.
So
I'm guessing carrots might have been useful.
you have to get a pretty
I don't
big
know.
carrot.
Parsnips?
Parsnips?
Parsnips? I don't know.
But you know what I mean? Like, interesting that.
Go to a dark
Okay, you guys are going to the grocery store.
Yeah,
Am I allowed to say where I order my toys from? Okay.
Please do.
yes, we'll
My-
tag
I'm going to
them.
write it down.
My favorite place to order toys from is called PinkCherry.ca. PinkCherry.
Canadian, just for the
Canadian.
record.
I think they have US too, but
Yeah.
PinkCherry.ca is the Canadian one, and I have ordered many things from there, including lube, and I buy the foamy toy cleaner so that, they're
Right,
clean
it stays
properly.
healthy. Yep. Okay, go get your toy.
Yes,
we need to do
ma'am.
show and tell.
Okay.
Yes.
Show and
Yes.
tell.
All right.
But isn't it refreshing to be able to have this easy conversation about it, right? And
Yeah.
not have to go buy potatoes, right? But honestly,
Yeah.
like, I've never met anybody, right, like Beverly who talks about it, and isn't it freaking refreshing? Because
Yes.
seriously,
Yes. Like, she owns something that we should all be able to own.
There you go.
So easily. And,
here,
and it's
she
it's
wants
like,
to put it in my friggin' hand.
whether you have it's not
So this
about
is battery operated.
whether
I'm
you have a
assuming.
partner or not. Like,
This is, you just plug it. It's USB.
Ooh, that's interesting.
ooh, that's interesting.
It bends. Just
Just
saying.
rechargeable. So this little baby is the most powerful one I've ever had. It's the smallest, maybe, but man, oh man, it makes up for it in other ways.
Okay, that doesn't. We've always said size doesn't matter, right?
Oh, in this case, no.
Unless
Size doesn't matter.
So this
Love
one, you just plug it in to charge it. Here's the charger here. And I don't know if it will even work because it hasn't been charged. But
No. Oh, it works.
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's
Okay.
dead.
Didn't
But
I see
anyway,
vibration there?
no,
I was just
that was my
imagining,
finger. I'm
clearly.
getting excited. All right, you guys have to go now.
No.
Just kidding.
If she goes to the bathroom
Oh
for
my
20
goodness.
minutes, we're going to know.
Okay, did you watch Friends?
No.
Did you watch Friends?
Yes.
You watch Friends. You remember? Seven. There
was one where
And then they all leave.
the guys were asking somebody about all the things
Erogenous
to do,
zones.
right? And all of a sudden Monica gets like right into it where she's like 2, 3, 7.
You're like, well, everyone knows about like 1, 2, and 3. We know those erogenous zones. But then there's like 4. And Chandler's like, 4? What?
If
There's
you
another-
learn to do it
and
really
then there's
well, you
5.
only need the first one, seriously,
Yeah.
because it'll take you over the moon. So, and everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
But whether you're a man or a woman, whether you've got a male partner, female partner, 2 men, 2
Right.
women, it doesn't matter. That partner is not always going to be there.
Yeah.
And if you're in a relationship and you have a good one, you're going to romanticize about them when they're gone.
Of course.
And then you take this little guy and you say, oh, let's just take a little trip to the bedroom. And off we go. Yes, we do.
But you know what the other thing is that there are things you can do together too, right? Like there are all sorts of things, and the thing is, it's I think it can be really intimidating for some if somebody brings it up because they think they're not adequate,
Yes.
and the fact is, these are freaking body parts. You can have help, like
Yeah.
in the kitchen. You know, when you're making soup. Because I just wrote a love note about soup. I might write a love
read
note
it.
about that.
I don't like soup.
Yeah. Oh,
Just saying.
but you're like him.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just need to add an extra spice to it,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can see it. But you have to have a really healthy relationship with your own body, I think,
Yeah.
and in your
Yeah.
relationship to ever think about that. And I think going back to the normalize it, I think it's best when we can talk about this, and this is really good. And I think I think I can speak for both of us. If you could come on and talk about different ones, right, and talk to people about what it means, and we'll hopefully get a couple of, like, honestly, for the first little bit, right, because we're still growing, we could probably just email and say, hey, can you send our person this and send this, but let's figure out how we can help normalize this, even if it's only every 4 months. We do a segment with you, right, where you can talk about the things, because normalizing it, I think, is the thing that would help the world.
It is part of empowering women.
Yeah.
It's part of
Oh, God, yeah.
it's part of making the female experience more on par with the male experience.
And
That-
so here's another little thing that, because I'm 70 as you get older,
Also, I'm uncomfortable enough that I need more booze.
whether it's
More
the,
bubbles.
whether it's the man or whether it's the woman, there may be times that
Right.
either one can't perform that way,
Right.
and yet wants to see their partner
Right.
happy.
Yeah.
And
Well, especially when you get to, like, as you age,
Yeah.
right?
that's
Like,
what that's what I just said.
Sorry.
Pay attention.
I was
Keep
paying
up.
attention to
Keep
alcohol.
up. Just keep up.
keep up.
So okay, so just say I have my partner and he's a little tired, but I'm really horny. I can say, honey, here, or whatever toy
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much effort to pleasure me that
Right.
way.
Right.
Especially since he's right there and he's my hunka burning love.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, but let me ask a question, because I would think doing it by yourself would be more comfortable than somebody with you. Like for me, it would kind of be like, okay, you're just doing this to help me, and it doesn't, like, for me, I might not feel a connection. So do you still feel a connection?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because what he is doing while he is
Is pleasuring
pleasuring
you,
me,
right.
he is kissing me on the lips. He is stroking my hair.
Right.
He is telling me he loves me.
Right.
He is telling me he wants me to be happy and satisfied.
Right.
So
Right. No,
there's
that's
not
good.
really-
That's really
Beautiful.
good.
There's no
That's
There's
downside.
no, right.
There's
no,
no
that's
downside.
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about, like, just the way sexual relations work, especially as in a relationship where you start off maybe in your 20s or 30s, when all things are like humming, right? Everybody wants sex a lot all the time, until you have children. And then maybe things change, and then maybe you know what, the husband still wants sex all the time and the wife doesn't.
Yes.
So you end up with an inequality, but it's like, you know what, I still want to do what makes you happy, so I'm going to help you, but you know what, this is all about you. This is all about you. And maybe that stage lasts however long it lasts, until maybe the tables turn then, right? And then you get to be 74 fucking years.
70 fucking four.
70 fucking 4. You gotta get
and
it
then
right.
I gotta get it right. But then maybe the tables turn, right? Because life life changes.
They lead into their sexuality as they get older, and men's drops,
naturally
right?
wanes.
Yeah.
Like hormone levels just change, and eventually you kind of even out how things were might not be how they always are.
That's correct.
And how you expected things to be might not be what is going to happen. Just because somebody said or you read somewhere that that's how it's supposed to be doesn't mean that that's actually how it is.
Yeah, romance novels.
You know, they can be a problem.
But the other side of it is I think recognizing where somebody is and realizing that true intimacy is more than the transactional or tactical piece of pleasure where it's like you take ego out of sexuality, right? Where it's like you just want someone to feel good, as opposed to I made you feel good with my piece.
Yes.
Right? Which I think lots of men get, and I think lots of men don't. Like they really take it personally, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the other side. Not only for women or people who identify as women, but for men to understand that if it's like, because honestly, it's also, for me, I would say it would be a service. You're stressy, you can't sleep, whatever it is, your partner's
Can I just help you out here?
Right, or can I just fix myself?
Can I just take care of myself?
Right, because sometimes it's because, like, honestly, and I know this was a bad thing to do, but there would be really cranky people in my life sometimes, and in my head it's like, man, you just need to have an orgasm. Right, and I know that was a bitchy thing to say, but physiologically, I think maybe,
and all the things that go with it, because that also
the
means
endorphins.
that maybe you've let your guard down enough to let somebody inside, or not somebody else. Maybe it's just you, but whatever it is, you've let your guard down. You've allowed yourself to be
inside, man.
To be vulnerable.
Right.
And see what this says, right?
It's all about her.
Oh
right?
my God! This is like Frankie and Grace all together. Am I saying that right? Frankie and Grace?
Yes, Frankie and Grace.
Okay, keep saying it wrong.
But it is one of those where it's like, even if it's just a physical outlet, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're stressed, but you're tired, and you're kind of wound up. That's the thing that would help you, right?
Yeah. Orgasm will brighten your day. I don't care if it's early morning, afternoon, before bed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's a stress relief.
It is,
and it feels good.
Yeah.
There's no downside.
There's no
downside.
Exactly.
Especially, like, I mean, it's there's the whole relationship thing or one night stand thing or whatever, and I've never been a good one night stand person, because it's like there's a stranger over here in my house, right? But when you look at pleasuring yourself, there is no downside. It's your timing. You know, you can set the stage however you want. You can do all these things, and I think more therapists should probably prescribe this.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of like, here, take some medication. It's like, here, get this.
Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a Clavin here. I'm going to have to do some research.
What's a Clavin? Is this Cliff Clavin?
Cliff Clavin
from Cheers.
Oh, so, I don't know about that.
So did you not watch TV as a child?
So there was a
I was looking for the nitty-gritty detective serial killer shows.
Not Cheers. So there was a time.
This is my Cheers.
Oh my, and it
is. Cheers. Why am I drinking more than anyone?
Thing of beauty.
Your glass is smaller.
Your glass is smaller.
I love you so much. That's a lie. But holy man.
So there was a time in history, and I'm going to look back to try and get some actual.
Pour it like this way, so it down the side, so it doesn't fuzz
up. So it doesn't fuzz up.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm okay with.
I'll teach
I'm okay with.
You'd think that I was
I
can
teach you a
less
few
new.
things, girl.
That sounds good. where women,
You had a lot of things to teach
women
us,
would
man.
go to their doctors, and their doctors would go to their doctors with vague complaints. And in some cases, their
You're talking
doctors,
way back a long time ago.
I'm going to say in the 40s and 50s.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Not that long ago. And some of those doctors would be prescribing, essentially, they would be giving their patients an orgasm in the exam room. It's like you have a female problem, you have a mental problem. They would call it various things, but this is related to the
So
idea
the doctor
of
would
being,
service them.
Yes, not they wouldn't have sex, they wouldn't have intercourse, but yes, this doctor would do something to give them.
Roxanne, I want her to say it.
Why? What do you mean? I don't know if they had a device. Was it their hand? I don't know.
Was it their mouth?
I don't think so, but I don't know because I'm only just read
Just
these
checking.
things.
No,
I don't
she
think
didn't
so.
know. She didn't.
No.
It's okay, but you know what? I just pushed her beyond her comfort zone, and she answered. Like I would
Yeah.
be like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom now.
No, because I think they actually considered this a medical
Right.
situation, right? Like, oh, these women need something, and here's the thing that we can do that makes them feel better and makes them better. And but it's also related to the idea of where the word hysterical comes from, right?
Right.
The word hysterical comes from hist, which is
Right.
Latin for the womb, right?
And like hysterectomy, like
Yeah,
that, like it's
exactly.
all the things,
you
right?
you are acting emotional because of your uterus, because of your sexual organs,
right,
your
right,
identity,
the organs,
all this.
yeah,
The stuff
gender
that you've been
identity,
given
the
has made
gender
you
organs.
unstable. So we need to fix you somehow because you're wrong because of what you have, what you're experiencing. So, I mean, I imagine that this was rife with abuse.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, that's
Okay, but let's just
I'm gonna have to look that. I'm gonna look
yeah,
that
we'll
up.
look it up, but
Yeah.
let's just touch on that just for a second about women's empowerment. You think they ever walked in and said, "Dude, you're acting out and you're like doing all this crap. It's like you need to jerk off." Like honestly,
That would
probably
never
not.
happen. That
right?
would never happen.
But you know what I mean? Like the thing is, it would be like, "Oh, you need this service," which I'm sure there was abuse in there because it's like, "Oh, you need me to do
Exactly,
this," right? But
exactly.
the other side of that, instead of saying back then, because they didn't have Purple Elvis, right? They got to. I would expect a lot of the doctors that got to prescribe that got some pleasure out of it themselves, right?
Well, so imagine though, women, girls who were raised no sex education, nothing, right? They're never taught anything about how their bodies work.
That was me.
Let alone
That was me.
Let alone how do you get pleasure from your body, right?
Yeah.
So then you go and you've got there's nothing wrong with you physically,
Right.
and a doctor says, well, let's try this. Let's see if this works. And suddenly you're like, what the hell just happened to me?
Yeah.
How can I make this happen every single
Yeah.
day? Like, I need to go back to my doctor for more, right? Like, what a weird
Right.
way to be initiated into something that should be so much more
Right.
normal and
Right.
organic, you know?
But the other thing is like think about how we're all and we were right in our collective age group. We were taught about not to be promiscuous, and honest to God, it wasn't about the emotional part of it. For most of it, it was about the somehow they didn't want you to be comfortable with your sexual like it was, and I think the emotional part of it is really important, and I honestly think young women finding Purple Elvis would be a good thing because
Yeah.
then maybe they wouldn't be like because
You might
at
save
least-
them from a lot of dates that they don't
well,
need to be on.
and risks
And
right
risks,
and
yeah.
and there are lots of people who can disengage emotionally from sex, and it's like freaking good for you if that's the thing. But there are predators out there,
Yeah,
right? Like for
yeah.
me, I could never disengage,
Yeah,
right? So it just like it's just one of those things where you were always at behind the eight ball because you wanted it to matter to you, and yet if you're out with people who could disengage,
It's easier for men to disengage
Right,
emotionally from sex.
right.
So if you're a woman seeking emotional intimacy and your body is the way to get there, you might be with a guy he is not looking at all to engage emotionally. His body is a way to get what he wants. And so you're
and then he plays
mismatched.
you, and then
yeah.
you get played.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it. Like if we could just say, in honestly grade school, those feelings in your body are beautiful. And you know what? They're more beautiful if you're with somebody you love.
Yeah.
But if you're not with somebody you love, here's the way to get those feelings.
It's okay to be
you
by
know what
yourself.
I mean? Like that's just it. Like I think there's so much to it, because there are so many people that put themselves emotionally and physically at risk because they're looking for love, right? And so the sex act is connected to love for them, maybe not for the person they're with, right? So if you could pleasure yourself and not worry about it, you are far stronger in saying to somebody, no, I like you, but we need to go on a date.
Yeah.
Right?
See, the thing for me from a very early age was, as I said, I've always been a very sexually,
You're a sexual person.
yes, I'm a sexual person. But I recognized really early on that sex with another human being was the most intimate thing you could ever do with your body,
Right.
and that you could ever do with another human being. And so for me, that part needed to be reserved and saved in it,
right.
and it was in a special compartment.
Right.
But it never meant that I shouldn't experience sexual pleasure.
That's a freaking big,
never
that's
That's a big
meant
distinction.
that to
That's
me.
a big
It's,
distinction.
see, that's, and I think that would, if we could teach our daughters and our nieces and our godkids and any of the and actually all of the young ones in our lives, that is, it is a beautiful thing with somebody, but that's a separate thing.
It's
than
the most intimate
right,
thing
right,
you can
but that's
do
just
with
it.
another
But
human
that's
being.
a really, because I think, at least for me growing up, is you made this connection of, and I had people in my life back then who that was their line in the water, right? Like that's how they got guys, right?
Yeah.
Is because they would be promiscuous, and honestly, the guys, right or wrong, would be like, yeah, they put you in the one night stand category, right?
And the other one was over here on a pedestal.
Yeah, but that's just
Because she wasn't going
but,
to.
But that's just it. And,
Yeah.
and honestly, like that was because I've always been quite selective in who I was going to bring into it, but it was more like, yeah, I'm not so interested in that one night stand thing, right? Because for me, it's an emotional journey. But I saw so many people, and they would get hurt, and if you could find, I guess self-love is the thing, right? The thing is self-love, which includes physical self-love,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't think we're ever taught that.
And it takes a great deal of confidence to be able to say, I'm okay with this. I love myself enough to give myself this pleasure that I want, and that maybe I have messages about this from somewhere else. I'm going to ignore those, and I'm just going to say, no, this is what I want. You know what? It also helps when you do have a partner that you know what works for you.
Yeah.
That you know what you like. Right? And then and you only know that by experimenting with yourself. Right? So then it enriches a partner
All of it,
experience
right?
later.
Okay,
Yeah.
tell me the first time you bought an aid. How old were you, do you think?
That I brought
You bought an aid, like you bought something
A toy.
to help you, a toy.
other than my leg shaver when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Which is
Well-
interesting, because there is, I have to say, there's a Big Bang Theory one, because Big Bang Theory is how I go to sleep. but there's one where Amy's like, I have an electric toothbrush. His name is, I don't know, Jake or Eduardo or something like that. And she's like, you should get one.
Well, I don't know the exact age. I would have been in my 20s when when I finally discovered
Right.
a
Did you have to go to a store?
storefront where you could go in,
Right.
and buy something. And that was fun, right? It was fun.
So did you feel when you went in the storefront, because honestly, I still think, I'm grateful for the online world, but I would be hard pressed to go into a store.
Oh, I went in. I said, "Hi, my name is Beverly. So I have no idea what I want, but I want to get I want it to go like this a lot. And I mean, could you help me out? Because I have no
So was
idea.
it a male or female that?
It was a man.
Yeah.
A man.
Wow.
I don't give a shit. I want him. He was there to serve me.
Oh
Right?
my God, I love you
That's
so much.
awesome. Exactly, right?
He was there to wait on me.
So I had a friend that went in, and she said the fellow that was there was like, "Are you an outie or an innie?" And she
What
was
does that
like,
mean?
what?
Belly
Right?
button, right?
But yeah, except
That's what I
no,
would think.
No, I think it's, do you want here? Because he said, okay, let's put some up against your nose and tell you, because apparently there are people that don't like penetration.
Okay,
And there are
okay.
people that want on top that does
Okay,
better for them,
okay.
right? And so it was really, because
This one goes anywhere. PinkCherry.ca.
Pink Cherry, man. We will absolutely tag them on this. But,
Wow. Oh,
but
yeah.
honestly,
Oh, yeah.
how, but here, like, especially at worst, you want somebody who is not judgmental, and I don't expect they would be working in a toy store,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If they weren't, but at best, you get somebody who understands the female body,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Who understands the
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Because all these things, like sometimes you see in at bridal showers and
Oh, yeah.
and stuff, and you get these things, and they're like friggin' this big, and it's like, where are you going to put that, man?
Come
Because it's
on.
like that's
You'd
just
be
a joke.
surprised.
I love you so much.
Just saying. You know?
Right? But it is.
It's called lube.
I can feel myself blushing. but it is. But this is so
I
interesting.
can't wait to be 4 years old.
But it's so interesting. I think we're gonna wrap up now because we're
think
gonna
we should.
we're
I
gonna
think so,
talk about
yeah.
things after. But I think and you guys let us know. I think that Pink Beverley should be a regular contributor.
Yes.
Right? Because that would be really fun. And it doesn't always have to be about this. I think she could give us life advice.
Totally.
All right, so I'm just going to say something as we sign off.
Okay.
Okay, Pink Beverley is currently single. She's very fucking particular. If you're in your 70 fucking something somewhere and you think you qualify, feel free to reach out.
Or maybe 60.
Well, what did you think of Beverly?
Yeah, and her approach to things, like we'd really like to hear from you. And again, if you are a bit more private, because we're not pushing anybody out of their comfort zone, you can direct message us and talk to us. But this is a discussion that's really important, right?
It is. The whole thing about Happy Hour with Ruth and Roxy is to talk to women, everybody, but primarily these are conversations that women have. About life.
And
What is-
if a person who likes women is smart, you would listen to understand what we're all
Yes,
thinking.
exactly.
Right?
But this is conversations that we think are important. And sex is, I mean, wow, it's a huge part of life,
Yeah.
whether you're with someone or not. And that's where, Beverly's, I mean, she was single for a long time.
Yeah.
And that doesn't stop you from being sexual, though.
But
Right?
that's what was her message, I thought, and I think it's really important to say these things. And as we're doing this, like even talking to Pink Beverley, as you saw, Roxanne cut out a little bit of the coughing, and I hope a little bit of my drinking. But you could see we were a little uncomfortable. But you know what? That's part of the journey, because we are not here to preach at you.
No.
We're here to have the conversation with you.
Yeah.
I can feel
Yeah.
myself starting to blush right now. Like I can just feel like it is not a comfortable topic for
no,
me.
it's not.
But also really important to keep talking about
Yeah,
it. And I
yeah.
think, when you just said sort of we're having these conversations, and I was thinking this is actually the third what season?
act.
Third act. God. it's the era, but it's like what everything Cosmopolitan tried to tell you back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And we've just taken it up a mature level, and it's
Yeah.
actually heartfelt as opposed to, here are the ways to catch a guy. This
Cosmo
is,
was selling stuff.
yeah, but
they were selling products.
I mean, some of it was really, like, I can remember Cosmopolitan giving me, in fact, the inspiration to pitch them, because they're like, what do you have to lose? Right? Like, they would say, there was
Yeah.
some stuff, the other part where it was like, you have to be this size, and here's your bikini body and
Yeah.
stuff. That has clearly, had an expiry date, which was a long time even before those. But this is a little bit of those things where it's like, it's all the stuff we're thinking about at this age, but not necessarily everybody's talking about it.
Well, and if you can't let go of your inhibitions and be your real self in your 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th decade of life.
I thought you were going to say act, and I was like, oh my God.
How many acts are there?
If there was a play that had 9 acts, they better have intermission.
But if you can't be your real self and ask the real questions in your third act, when can you? You only get one life.
No, and we've learned lots,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and this is the thing, like Pink Beverley is so inspiring in that way.
Oh, yeah.
It's that this is my life. I want to squeeze every last ounce of joy from it.
Yep.
And so what have I got to lose talking about stuff?
Well,
Like,
and the fact that,
all you have to lose is your shame.
but that's just it. And I think, the funny, it's like for her, when we come over and she always has these Veuve, I don't know, we say it in the thing because you see what we're drinking.
Veuve Clicquot.
Yeah, I can never say it. But it's like,
I'm just making that up because I don't know French at all.
but she enjoys life in many aspects.
She's like, why would I drink cheap bubbles? She says, like, this is the good stuff.
Which is lovely, but she doesn't always drink bubbles because if we drink that all the time,
Oh, we'd be broke.
Oh my God,
We'd be broke.
yeah,
So
like
broke.
that would not be good for our cheese and potato chip
No,
addictions.
not
but,
so much.
But anyway, so what are you grateful for, Rux?
Oh, I am grateful for Costco today because we had a Costco run earlier
was
today,
fun.
and we thought ahead and bought food so that when we're done here, we can throw it
Yes.
together and we don't have to do any work.
Costco. Now I'm sure it's different everywhere, but Costco in Abbotsford actually has pretty good pre-made stuff.
They do,
right?
yeah.
It's actually Paul and I had lasagna a couple of weeks ago from here. It was really good. I know these tacos we're going to have are good. Like it's really interesting because usually on pre-made, it's going to be it's like no, but it's good and it's easy.
And it's easy. That's the thing. And when you're tired and we've got a busy day ahead of us tomorrow, so do you, it's nice to have stuff on hand that's just
Yeah,
easy.
easy.
Yeah. What are
Nope,
you
it's
grateful
good.
for, Ruth?
I'm grateful for you.
Aw.
So we're having showings tomorrow at our house, and Ray and Roxanne both separately offered because they're out, so we could come here with our dogs because otherwise we're going to be walking the dogs for a couple of hours.
House showings are just the worst.
But me moving has it affects us. It for me there's still the excitement of finding a house and stuff, but it's not going to change our relationship, but it's going to change the logistical things.
Yeah,
And yet Roxanne the whole time is like, oh, that house looks great. Have you thought about this? What about this? I say, oh, we have a showing. And instead of like, she's like, do you need to come in our house?
Well, it's because I'm over you. You're dead to me now.
She's lying. But I am very grateful that you have embraced this change, even though it is going to affect the logistics of our lives. Oh, you're going to cry now?
No, I'm not crying.
She's crying.
My eyes are shiny. That's all.
Her eyes. Oh no, she's got onion in her eyes.
I do. But you know what? Like, we won't be able to go Costco shopping. Like those little things.
I'm coming out, man.
Yeah. It won't be like, hey, do you want to go to Costco today?
Have we ever actually done that?
No, you're a planner. You're a planner aheader person.
But we have also made a pact, whether it's for, I'll come out for, because I can work from here. I don't care, right? For as long as, well, she'll let me, but I'll just have to make sure,
We'll see.
Ray will be like,
he's going
"Make
out
her
of town.
leave."
Come on over.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to make sure once a month we're in the same place for a couple of nights, and I think that is not that hard to keep up when it's it's a walk on ferry ride.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so it won't be, but then I can come and it will be, well, the first couple of times I bet you it'll be like, oh, we have to see this person and do this, but we have to do the Costco. And then we'll be like, we have to go here because you got to get the garlic sauce. And then I can find cool things out there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because now you've got things because you're such a good shopper. Like, you find the things that you like, and then it's
And
like,
they're
oh,
usually
you can
fun.
only get that here. They are, yeah. I would never find that because I don't
also
know.
found a place because I'm looking for I wrote a love note about it, but I had this chef that is doing us a bit of a favor, serving something from brunch and a dinner because we couldn't come for the brunch, so I wanted to get her a couple of things. So I went online to see very BC things, and in Prince Rupert, which is a bit far from us, or Prince Albert, I don't know, anywhere, somewhere on the island, you can go foraging with an indigenous chef. Oh. So we're going to go do that because we could drive there a couple of hours, do it, and drive back, right? That's right. See, there's the things we could do.
So we did that one time with Levi and Andrea, right? This is before Abel was born. We had moved here already, and Levi, this is my son-in-law who's a chef and a real foodie, and we went out looking for morels.
That's cool,
right? And he's like, oh, there was a fire last year. That means that the morels will be great here.
That guy knows things,
He
man.
knows stuff, and we did, like, I think I found one, but I know what to look for. Probably would never do it again without him. Yeah. But he and Andrea do that. Like,
it's cool, right?
It is cool. Yeah.
Like, I did it once in when I worked with Tourism New Zealand, and I went out, and we were staying in this beautiful place. The chef and it was like on stilts the place, and went out and then went back to the kitchen, and he made the things with everything, and it was out in the wild, like they take care of in the wild, right? And it's really cool because it's one thing, and it's really exciting still to go with a chef, and they've got their own garden. It's even more exciting when you go out into the wild, right? And also, let's go back to my Yule Gibbons book. What was it?
Oh yeah, the mushroom, the onion, the something.
Dandelion? Anyway, I made dandelion soup. Oh, bulrush soup.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Anyway, we will still have fun, but I am grateful that you put your feelings aside to support me through this. So
I put on a good show.
Oh my God, she's a problem.
We have a lot of fun together.
Yes.
And so what do we want more of, Ruth?
More happy hours and less
Absolutely. Less bullshit. Thanks, you guys, for joining us.
Yep.
Let
us know what you
fun.
think.
Yeah,
this is going to be an
interesting
interesting episode.
And we will talk to you again soon.
Bye.